Hi Stampers, it's Elizabeth from StampScrapAndMore.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Canada. And thank you for joining me today for yet another video tutorial. And this time we're going to be playing with Ranunculus Romance. I'm actually impressed that I said that. I love this stamp set. When I saw it, I knew it was for me. I love the type-worn background stamp and the canceled out French Eiffel Tower stamp, and there's like that little train ticket, and we've got some lace down here and some florals, and the sentiments are just for you, just because, hello, and thank you for sharing your heart. I love this stamp set, and I'm going to make a card using every stamp. I'm going to make one card using every stamp. I love when I can do that. So this is a card I had done on a Facebook Live for earlier, and now I'm going to recreate it and upload it to YouTube for your enjoyment and inspiration. So let's get started, and I'm going to share with you what you need. So this is our stamp set, and we're going to be using. I'm also going to be pulling in, I'm calling it the barn board die from the On the Horizon bundle. And I'm also going to be using the New Horizons Design Series paper. I know you think, how can these two blend together very well? But I'm going to share it with you how easy and how beautiful I think this card is. So this is the card that we are going to be making. And actually, this card does not have all the images, but this card, which I recreated for the Facebook Live, does have all the images. So let's get started. I'm going to share with you how easy and beautiful this card comes together. So I'm going to start off with my stamps. Now, the stamps on the outside are going to be, that we're going to be embossing are this one, this sort of type, it's, what does it says? It says silver plate jewelry on it. That's what some of the sentiments are. Those two, I'm going to use the train ticket, or a little, maybe it's not a train ticket, maybe it's a sales tag. I'm going to use the this one on the outside, which is the France. Because I don't have anywhere else to put it, I'm also using this one, which says, thank you for sharing your heart. And if you place it strategically enough, you'll be able to see like part of the words. And, oh, hello is going to go on we're going to emboss hello. I told you we're going to do a lot of embossing, guys. And then this large flower. I'm running out of blocks. Okay, so that large flower. And then this smaller flower, and we'll use some of the blocks. Just for you is going to go on the inside. Just because is going to go on the outside. And then the larger flower is going to go on the outside. So let's get started and do a little bit of embossing. And we're going to be using the white embossing powder. I just realized I had some embossing powder on that block. Okay. And you've got your white embossing powder, and you have your Versamark. Very important, you need your Versamark and your white embossing powder. Okay, now the trick or the key to this card is to stamp and sprinkle on the embossing powder, and then stamp and sprinkle on the embossing powder. For a couple of reasons. That way the Versamark is not going to dry out before you get the embossing powder on it if you do all the stamping at once. But also you're going to be able to see where you are in the card, because this is tone on tone. So if you don't emboss it, you won't see what you're really stamping. So I'm going to start off with my main focal point here, which is this large flower. And I'm taking this stamp and I'm just angling it a little to the right. On the original card, I didn't do that. And part of the flower got buried underneath the popped up element. And I really wanted to show the flower kind of peeking out a little bit, like that. So now you can kind of see the flower here with the embossing powder. Now I'm going to take I didn't load it on that block very well. I'm going to take my lace, and I'm just going to put it down the side here. And I'm getting ready for a Facebook Live, but before I do that, I wanted to do this video and get it scheduled and uploaded. I'm all ready for my Facebook Live, so I'm killing two birds while I'm here. There we go. Now let's see what else you're going to use. I'm going to take this image, which is sort of the jewelry, silver plate jewelry, the wording for the silver plate jewelry. I can't even read all of it. It's sort of one of those nondescript kind of texts. And I'm going to put it down here in the corner. And I'm going to emboss that up. And if at some point you wanted to heat emboss some of your, at this point, you can definitely go ahead and do that. I'm just going to wait till I'm done, finish stamping everything, and then I'll emboss it all at once. Okay, now, so I've used that one, that one. I'm going to take the little jewelry tag, maybe it's a jewelry tag, and I'm going to put it right there. And one of them I'm actually going to I'm actually going to stamp it right over the flower. Now I'm going, but I'm not yet. I'm going to now take "Thank you for sharing your heart," and I'm going to stamp it a little bit down like this, so that the word heart, it's going to be seen underneath the popped up element. I'm going to just show you how it looks like, what it looks like so far. Okay, so I've used all those. I'm going to use the canceled stamp. Oh, and I think I'm going to put that up here. And I'm also going to put the hello, and I'm just going to put it right down there. I love embossing. I have all these little containers with all the different colors of embossing powder on it, and I just use a little spoon to spoon it out. Okay, so that's what it looks like now. Now I need something up here, so I'm going to take this stamp again. So I've used all of these images now. I'm going to put this one up here. And all the other images will go kind of on the outside. And I think, folks, what do you think? Do I have enough? Because the die cut image is going to go up like that. So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to put this one, because it's pretty blank down here. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it down there like that. The key is not to get your fingers on the embossing powder, but you know, it really won't matter too much because of the pattern of the designer series paper. It kind of gets buried. Any little booze will get buried. Now I could, if I wanted to, I had said before that I'm going to stamp over this. If I wanted to, and I'm going to do it just so you can see, I'm going to take this type script again, and I'm just going to stamp it over there like that, and it's actually over the flower, but it really looks really pretty. So if you do, moral of the story is, if you do overlap and stamp one thing on top of another, it's okay. And okay, so that is what it looks like. I know I kind of went overkill on that, but that's okay. So now plug your ears and let's get a heat embossing. And you can warm it up from the back. There we go. You can start to see some of it melt and get shiny at the top left corner. It's like, it's coming to life, folks. It's like magic. I'm going to move my fingers. It's beautiful. I love it. I love, love, love it. So that is what it looks like. I know. I love it. Okay, so while I'm here, I'm going to take this barn board die. And now the stamp, one stamp we haven't used yet is this flower. And I'm going to remove that and put this flower on it. And ink it up with some Versamark. And just strategically lay it on there. And again, heat emboss that in the white embossing powder. You can see it must have had some oil or something on there because it's sticking to stuff it shouldn't be. So I'm just going to brush it off with my finger. There we go. Oh, and some up here. All right, so I'm going to cover that Versamark. And then heat emboss this. Really just brings it to life. Love it. Okay, now we're going to do some assembling. It is a piece of Misty Moonlight, and it is a standard card size 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. This beautiful piece of designer series paper, New Horizons, is 5 1/4 by 4. We are just going to adhere that flush to the front of the card. Like that. And just making sure even north, south, east, and west as best you can. Okay. So I can feel little fine pieces of embossing powder. So I'm just going to get rid of that because it's getting on my hands. And now we also have a piece of basic white that is also 5 1/4 by 4. That is going to get inserted onto the inside, but I'm also going to be taking a piece of the designer series paper that was cut off from there, and it is 5 1/4 by 1 1/2, and I am going to just mount it on the left hand side like that onto the inside of the paper. And now I'm going to adhere this to this piece of basic white. And if I didn't do a very good job of trimming it, so I'm just going to trim the edge off just a titch at the bottom. Just to even, you'll see there's a little bit of white there. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to stamp that as well. So I'm going to stamp it with the not just because, with Just For You. I need to get a block. That'll work. And I'm using Night of Navy. Like that. And it's going to go on the inside, sort of in the middle. And I'm also going to stamp my canceled Eiffel Tower like that. You can see my stamp head needs to be re-inked. And now I'm going to adhere this to the inside. And the last thing we're going to do, oh no, we've got a few more things to do actually. That's going on the inside, Just For You. Okay, so now we are going to take our piece that we've embossed and we are going to pop that up on the outside And I'm going to put one in the middle as well. And I forgot to mention, you're going to need your Simply Elegant trim. I think that's what it's called. Let me just double check here. Yep, Simply Elegant trim. And we're going to make a little bow knot in the silver. Now, this is strategic how I'm placing it. So I'm going to place it here so your heart is kind of tucked underneath there, like that. And the just because, I am going to stamp that on a small piece of basic white. I've got a whole bunch of ends here. This doesn't look very straight. I will be cutting it down even smaller, but I just wanted to make sure I start off with a straight piece of paper. And there we go. It's not straight, but I'm going to be trimming it down a little bit. Like that. And I'm going to separate the just and because I can. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller and try to make it, and try to straighten it up a bit. So there's the just. And then here is the because. I'm an eyeballer, I've told you guys before. And if it doesn't turn out perfect, there's two things you can do. It's a handcrafted card, so you can leave it, or you can just restamp it. And my dimensionals. Oh, I have to tell you, I was changing the sheets today, and or this morning. Oh, and I pulled something in my shoulder. I can't even make the bed without pulling something, and my shoulder feels like it needs to be cracked. And I don't go to chiropractors, but that's what it feels like to me. Like it needs to be cracked a little bit, just from changing the sheets. It's not a good sign. All right. And now I'm going to put the just because, and I'm just going to put it kind of maybe here and in here. Okay, and now I've got my Simply Elegant trim. I'm going to cut off, maybe 9 inches. And I'm going to make a little simple bow knot. Oops. And you really have to pull these tight together. And now I'm going to pull it left and right so that I make it smaller. And now I'm going to pull it so that it's really, really tight so that the knot doesn't come out. And now I'm going to, again, pull it left and pull the right, like that. And I'm going to put a glue dot down there, but we're not finished yet. Okay, a little glue dot, like that. And then the last thing we're going to do is you're going to take your wink of Stella, and this is an old wink of Stella. It still has some juice left in it, but I'm going to, I call it dirtying it up a little bit. And let me just put that block right on the corner. And I'm just going to flicker the wink into the card. But I'm running out of wink. And it just adds a little bit of sparkle. It's easier to see on the plain piece of Misty Moonlight. I'm going to squeeze it down just a little bit. Get a little bit more juice in there. Oh, there we go. Too much. There we go. And I'll bring it up to the camera and I'll show you when I'm all done. When I'm 2F and E. When I am done. just because, and here we go. You can see the wink of Stella, and it will dry, and it'll just give it a wee bit of sparkle. Okay, so did I do a little bit too much of the embossing? I love it. I just love how it turned out. Now, I didn't finish the card all the way, but if you didn't want to do the blue pattern from the New Horizon, I've done it a little bit on the piece of pale papaya from New Horizon. So pick one of the colors in the New Horizon Designer Series paper and just play with it. It just adds that extra interest to it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. But the best thing is I used every stamp in that set to make that card. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you were inspired. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Happy stamping.